Take your time. We are being live streamed though, so we are live. Eventually
Oh,
it
cool.
will catch up on YouTube. So, what is up, YouTube? Welcome back to, or welcome to another book club. Oh, I always have to do this. I always have to mute myself. Okay. um, all right, so for those who are joining today, we have Advanced Trans who is not new to the channel or anything or to the book clubs, but you are on video now. So there's a face behind the voice.
I promised you video, and now you have video.
Now we
So
have video.
you
Yeah.
good job.
You good job. I didn't do anything.
I,
So
I did. Yeah, I did it. Don't make me stammer my words. I
okay.
got you.
I
I
don't have
got you.
to you will stammer your words on your own, so I don't have to do anything to prompt that.
That's true. I was
Yeah.
like, yes, this is who it is behind the voice.
The
It's me.
voice. Yes, it's you. Yeah, and I'm glad that you are here. So we are here for beginning a new book club. If you see my brush going down, it's for my cat in my lap, who's right here. So the last book club, which is typically like a members only, like to view all the book club series episodes, is accessible to members of the channel. But every now and then, like for the first, sometimes in the middle, and the last book clubs, they will be public just to show everybody what's going on, people that want to join in. And since we are beginning a new book today, we wanted to go public to kind of just share the word, spread the word, and read a bit of this long book. This is a thick book.
I did not know. I say all I have is the digital copy of it. I didn't think it was going to be so thick.
It's okay. There's a lot of juicy information in here. So I'm not quite yet sure how I'm going to dissect all of this. Whether we just go, it'll take us 2 years if I do this bi-weekly. So I think we might do like weekly book clubs from here on out. Give or take, and just to chip away at reading this because it is a thick book. But there's a lot of great information in here. So this new book is The Secret Teachings of All Ages, which shout out to David Blaine writing this incredible book.
That guy is amazing, though. If you ever watch any of his lectures, he can talk 90 minutes nonstop without having to look down at anything. Like it's all
Really?
just, yeah, that's
Wow.
insane.
That
And
is
his
insane.
his last lecture was about angels, and it was right around the holiday season. So it was like that was his last lecture ever, and then he got murdered.
Oh, when did that
Yeah.
happen?
I couldn't give it a year. Some people say
Okay.
it's just natural causes, but like he was murdered. Let's be honest here. He was
Hmm.
like the internet. I mean, they already had internet in the 60s. They just didn't announce it till 80s ish. But
Yeah.
the Masons were catching on saying, hey, 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 hey. And then done.
Hmm. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised. Not
Yeah.
surprised. Whenever you have some golden information and you share it with the public, it's a threat to those who don't want that information shared. So, well,
Insane.
interesting fact to preface the book club. So, we're gonna kind of just start. The introduction is 25 pages. There goes my cat. The introduction is 25 pages, and we're gonna just read a little bit. So it's rather than like reading and discussion, it's like reading with commentary. So we get some comments from the Peanut Gallery here, which are me and myself and Advanced Trans, and then whoever wants to pop up in the chat, we will keep an eye on the chat to just listen to your comments and read your comments, concerns, questions, whatever you want to say, and go from there until we finish the entire introduction today.
And you'll see me go side to side with my face because I'm looking at three different monitors, harvesting information to relate back to Pixie.
Cool. And that is very much appreciated. So,
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to just read the back of the book here, just for those who know nothing about this book or what it is, the synopsis, if you will. And then we will get into the introduction, which will just tell you more about what it is. So, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, an encyclopedic outline of Masonic, Hermetic, Kabbalistic, and Rosicrucian symbolical philosophy. That was very delicious to say. Rosicrucian symbolical philosophy. That just, wow, that like really felt good coming out of my mouth. So Manly P. Hall. There's something about symbolical, and all of those together. Anyways, Manly P. Hall. This key to the world's esoteric traditions unlocks some of the most fascinating and closely held secrets of myth, religion, and philosophy. It distills ancient and modern teachings of nearly 600 experts. Compelling themes range from the riddle of the Sphinx and the tenets of Pythagorean astronomy to the symbolism of the pentagram, the significance of the Ark of the Covenant, and the design of the American flag. Acclaimed by Publishers Weekly as a classic reference, dizzying in its breadth, this remarkable resource was compiled by the founder of the Philosophical Research Society. Author Manly P. Hall examines the secrets of Isis along with arcane aspects of mystic Christianity and other religions. Fascinating surveys cover topics as diverse as Kabbalah, alchemy, cryptology, and tarot, along with Masonry, gemology, and the identity of William Shakespeare. Whoa! 13 pages of color plates and more than 100 black and white images by the celebrated illustrator J. Augustus Knapp illuminate this vast and indispensable encyclopedia of the occult. It's a big, big, thick read. So, but with a lot of incredible information in here, it seems. So again, today we will just be doing the introduction. I wish that I could just like read all of it at once, because like sounds like there's so much that I want to know. And if I wasn't trying to be somewhat organized with this, I would just jump around. I almost jumped around and just like chose a random chapter to do, but I was like, no, let's start at the beginning. We can always do that later. So yeah, so we will see how this goes.
Yeah, if anyone has to say, I say, over time, do some skim reading and just like point out certain things along the way.
Yeah.
Favorite chapters, things that you're interested in, and just highlight them. Or if someone in the chat points out something they want discussed, that's
Yeah. I think I'm gonna figure out how like a method to doing this. Maybe reading it more in advance, or reading it in advance like a normal book club does, rather than like a live reading and discussion, especially just because this one is so thick. And then going back and skim reading maybe in the video, and then talking about important things in each chapter. But for this very first one, I have not read the introduction in advance, so we will just be going right from the beginning of the introduction.
Can I drop three notes on you right now?
Yeah, of course.
This book is dense and encyclopedic, covering dozens of topics across 45 chapters with detailed analysis of myths, rituals, and philosophies. Manly P. Hall wrote it at the age of 27, drawing from extensive research rather than personal and mystical experience, making it a scholarly yet accessible introduction to esotericism. Its influence persists in New Age and occult circles, through some critics note its speculative nature and lack of primary source rigor. They're trying to fight against it. How dare you? Yeah, this is like people are trying to suppress like truth.
Yeah, exactly. 27. That's incredible. I want to know more about this man's life that led him to knowing all of this stuff at age 27 and being able to write it.
He traveled around. He actually did the same thing as Higgins did, who wrote the Anacalypsis. He traveled. He was like a ladies' man. That's all he did was just document everything. And then while he was traveling very, very young, and well, I'll just summarize it with that. And then he decided to just compile all the information that he already gathered. Mm-hmm.
Traveling is one of the best ways to learn. So especially when you're traveling around the world expansively. So okay, well, let's just jump right into it because we got 25 pages to go. So I'm going to read like at least 2 pages. We're doing this whole introduction today, and then we'll try to keep the rabbit holes to a minimum for now. But that will also help in the future for the next book clubs to read it beforehand and then just do more key points in it, and then we can dive into more rabbit holes.
That's cool. I'm down with that.
Yeah, cool. Okay. It's like so. I need like a book stand or something. All right. So philosophy. This is the introduction on Roman numeral page XIII or 13. So philosophy is the science of estimating values. The superiority of any state or substance over another is determined by philosophy. By assigning a position of primary importance to what remains when all that is secondary has been removed, philosophy thus becomes the true index of priority or emphasis in the realm of speculative thought. The mission of philosophy, a priori, is to establish the relation of manifested things to their invisible ultimate cause or nature. Philosophy, in quotes, writes Sir William Hamilton, has been defined as the science of things divine and human, and the causes in which they are contained. The science of effects by their causes. Oh, okay, I see. So that first one of the divine and human and the causes by which they are contained, there's in brackets Cicero. So I guess that was what Cicero said. And then the science of effects by their causes, Hobbes defined that. The science of sufficient reasons, Leibniz, in brackets, and then the science of things possible in as much as they are possible, Wolff. The science of things evidently deduced from first principles, Descartes. The science of truth, sensible and the science of truths, sensible and abstract, de Condillac, in brackets, and then the
Cognac?
Application.
Sorry, I thought of cognac. My bad.
Go ahead. No. Condillac or something. Condillac. The application of reason to its legitimate objects, Tennemann. The science of the relations of all knowledge to the necessary ends of human reason, Kant, like K-A-N-T in brackets. The science of the original form of the ego or mental self, Krug in brackets. The science of sciences, Fichte, in brackets. The science of the absolute, von Schelling in brackets. The science of the absolute indifference of the ideal and real, also von Schelling, or the identity of identity and non-identity, Hegel, in brackets. So the 6 headings under which the disciplines of philosophy are commonly classified are metaphysics, which deals with such abstract subjects as cosmology, theology, and the nature of being; logic, which deals with the laws governing rational thinking, or as it has been called, the doctrine of fallacies; ethics, which is the science of morality, individual responsibility, and character, concerned chiefly with an effort to determine the nature of good; psychology, which is devoted to investigation and classification of those forms of phenomena referable to a mental origin; epistemology, which is the science concerned primarily with the nature of knowledge itself and the question of whether it may exist in an absolute form; and aesthetics, which is the science of the nature of and the reactions awakened by the beautiful, the harmonious, the elegant, and the noble. I didn't know aesthetics was actually like a science. I just thought, an aesthetic.
Yeah.
Okay, continuing on. So Plato regarded philosophy as the greatest good ever imparted by divinity to man. In the 20th century, however, it has become a ponderous and complicated structure of arbitrary and irreconcilable notions, yet each substantiated by almost incontestable logic. The lofty theorems of the old Academy, which Iamblichus likened to the nectar and ambrosia of the gods, have been so adulterated by opinion, which Heraclitus declared to be a falling sickness of the mind, that the heavenly mead would now be quite unrecognizable to this great Neo-Platonist. Convincing evidence of the increasing superficiality of modern scientific and philosophic thought is its persistent drift towards materialism. When the great astronomer Laplace was asked by Napoleon why he had not mentioned God in his Traité de la Mécanique Céleste, my French accent is awful, the mathematician naively replied, what? It was in French, so it was in French, that's all. So yeah, the Traité maybe de la Mécanique Céleste. Yeah.
Well, you made it sound good off the first run.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, that I tried that time, but typically my French accent.
I thought you were blaming your friend Jackson or something. I was like, what's?
Oh no.
Oh.
No, just in general. Okay, so continuing on, after that French thing, the mathematician naively replied, "Sire, I had no need for that hypothesis." So that was the no need for the hypothesis. Let me repeat that last sentence again because we got a little, the French thing distracted me. So when the great astronomer Laplace was asked by Napoleon why he had not mentioned God in his Traité de la Mécanique Céleste, the mathematician naively replied, "Sire, I had no need for that hypothesis." In his treatise on atheism, Sir Francis Bacon tersely summarizes the situation thus.
Sir Francis Bacon.
Sorry. So it's okay. So, quote, "A little philosophy inclineth man's mind to atheism, but depth in philosophy bringeth men's mind about to religion," end quote. That's an interesting quote. The Metaphysics of Aristotle opens with these words, quote, "All men naturally desire to know," end quote. To satisfy this common urge, the unfolding human intellect has explored the extremities of imaginable space without and the extremities of imaginable self within, seeking to estimate the relationship between the one and the all, the effect and the cause, nature and the groundwork of nature, the mind and the source of the mind, the spirit and the substance of the spirit, the illusion and the reality. And the ancient philosopher once said, quote, "He who has not even a knowledge of common things is a brute among men. He who has an accurate knowledge of human concerns alone is a man among brutes. But he who knows all that can be known by intellectual energy is a god among men," end quote. I will pause there for a moment if we want to drink some water or say any comments or whatever we want to do. Those were the first 2 pages. I really like those quotes. All men naturally desire to know.
True. It's, yeah. I need to know. I need to know. Because that's just the meaning of life. Know all knowledge, know all the tools, so you could be the best at being you. Mm-hmm. So why not?
Yeah. Precisely. And I mean, not everybody has the same sort of pull or desire to learn, I suppose, or to know. But a lot of us, I mean, maybe they do, but just not in the same, direction. Bella, it's okay. You can come here if you want.
Actually, I had a discussion today too with the homeowner I was doing electrical work for, and he was just, I don't know, something made him ask me these questions about like my mindset about stuff. And what was it? I mentioned something like, listen, it's like you can't do everything, you can't know everything. That's why a town works so well, because you're going to need a baker, you're going to need a cobbler, you're going to need all these other trades for everybody to work together. Everyone's good at one particular thing. So don't diminish yourself. Don't think you're worthless because you went to college and you're like 60 years old or I think it was 50 years old and like you're not doing anything with it. It's like you're always where you want to be anyway, because that's where your mindset takes you. You just got to learn to just watch what you say, how you say it, and then just know that you're going to get there with a positive attitude with no doubt attached. And that's going to change your whole lifestyle.
Yeah.
And he was like, so I need to change out my breaker. I'm like, yeah, you need to change out your breaker. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, moral of the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, hmm. You know, I went to a college graduation last week, and there was a 93-year-old graduating with his master's or something, I think. Yeah, it was either master's or doctorate. I don't remember it. Well, it must have been in government, because that's the school that I saw the graduation for. I don't know anything about that person, but it's never, not that college is the only way to learn, of course, because it's not, but you're never too old to like chase those dreams or knowledge or desires or whatever it is you desire to learn. So
True. But then
yeah.
also too, with the stuff I come across is that you have the possibility to remember your past life, and pretty much you have an ongoing journey of always trying to better yourself or always trying to retain this information for you to reharvest into your next life kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? If you're not really doing anything, or if you just if or I shouldn't say if you're not doing anything, if your urge is to go learn before you pass on into the whateverness past that point, or the matrix,
Mm-hmm.
then why not? Why not try to remember everything so you can be well prepared next time with the information you can be able to receive? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because the knowledge will remain with you beyond this lifetime, I believe. So
Yeah. If water
yeah.
can hold memories, then so can you.
Yeah, exactly. It's a
Mhm.
good point. Okay, so I will keep reading a couple pages, and then if you want to read a couple pages, and we'll tag team it. The good thing is that this introduction is like the longest chapter without any breaks. It looks like most of the rest of the book is like kind of divided. I mean, there are some sections, but there's like subsections in each chapter. So whenever the time comes that we go on to that, it'll be easier to kind of skim read, because we'll be reading it kind of beforehand and then like notate where we are in it and stuff. So the introduction is kind of the least organized of all of them, but we got to start somewhere. So,
That's true.
Yeah.
Whenever I got some, well, let's read some of that, and then I'll get back to like the summary. I got basically the summary here with some notes about the introduction and what he's trying to point out.
Okay. Okay, but keep reading a little bit further into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jared C, what's up?
Hey, Jared. MBH, King of the Run-On Sentence.
That is true.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. Hope you guys have some water or tea or something to hydrate. Regardless, I know we're doing the out loud reading, but yeah, it's good to hydrate anyways. So, all right, continuing on. So, man's status in the natural world is determined, therefore, by the quality of his thinking. I like that. He whose mind is enslaved to his bestial instincts is philosophically not superior to the brute. He whose rational faculties ponder human affairs is a man, and he whose intellect is elevated to the consideration of divine realities is already a demigod, for his being partakes in the luminosity with which his reason has brought him into proximity. In his encomium of the science of sciences, Cicero is led to explain, quote, "O philosophy, life's guide, O searcher out of virtue and expeller of vices, what could we in every age of men have been without thee? Thou hast produced cities, thou hast called men scattered about into the social enjoyment of life." End quote. In this age, the word philosophy has little meaning unless accompanied by some other qualifying term. The body of philosophy has been broken up into numerous isms, more or less antagonistic. which have become so concerned with the effort to disprove each other's fallacies that the sublimer issues of divine order and human destiny have suffered deplorable neglect. I like that word, deplorable. I need to say that more often.
That is actually one of my favorite words.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
I saw it on a cartoon and I never forgot it. That and confounded. I love that word, confounded.
Yeah. I know. I'm trying to think, where have I heard like deplorable? I know I've heard that in some sort of media somewhere. I'm sure a lot of places,
Oh,
but
oh my God. It's right on the tip of my tongue too. Oh, it's the Grinch. It's the Grinch. That's what it is.
oh,
It's the
it
Grinch. It's
is
deplorables.
the deplore.
Yes.
Yeah, and the son and deplore. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the lyrics to the song now,
It's
but
a it's right when he's
um,
like when the narrator's like trash talking him, literally, just like you're a disgracement of a disgrace rubbish of deplorables. Yeah, or something like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
if I'm son and unimaginable. Yeah,
Yeah.
mixed up with tangled up socks or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Who's also
yeah.
the voice for Tony the Tiger. So Tony the Tiger is trash talking the Grinch.
Really? Okay, I didn't know
Yes.
that. Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Tony the Tiger. Well, learn something new every day. Okay, so deplorable. Where were we? Compendium, and no, not compendium. Encomium. Oh, there's the end quote. All right, continuing on. In this age, the word philosophy has little meaning unless accompanied by some other qualified. Wait, I already read this. Qualifying terms. I'm going to read it again. The body of philosophy has been broken up into numerous isms, more or less antagonistic, which have. Oh, there we go. Deplorable neglect. That was the last one. All right. Continuing on in the real time, in the real spot, the ideal function of philosophy is to serve as the stabilizing influence in human thought. By virtue of its intrinsic nature, it should prevent man from ever establishing unreasonable codes of life. Philosophers themselves, however, have frustrated the ends of philosophy by exceeding in their wool gathering those untrained minds whom they are supposed to lead in the straight and narrow path of rational thinking. To list and classify any but the more important of the now recognized schools of philosophy is beyond the space limitations of this volume. The vast area of speculation covered by philosophy will be appreciated best after a brief consideration of a few of the outstanding systems of philosophic discipline which have swayed the world of thought during the last 26 centuries. The Greek school of philosophy had its inception with the 7 immortalized thinkers upon whom was first conferred the appellation of Sophos, the wise, according to Diogenes Laertius. These were Thales, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, Thales, Solon, Chilon, Pittacus, Bias, Cleobulus, and Periander. Cleobulus is kind of fun to say too. Haven't heard that before. So water was conceived by Thales to be the primal principle or element upon which the earth floated like a ship, and earthquakes were the result of disturbances in this universal sea. Since Thales was Ionian, the school perpetuating his tenets became known as the Ionic. I guess it's Ionian. He died in 546 BC and was succeeded by Anaximander, who in turn was followed by Anaximenes, Anaxagoras, and Archelaus, with whom the Ionic school ended. Anaximander, differing from his master Thales, declared measureless and indefinable infinity to be the principle from which all things were generated. Anaximenes asserted air to be the first element of the universe, that souls and even the deity itself were composed of it. Anaxagoras, whose doctrine savors of atomism, held God to be an infinite self-moving mind, that this divine infinite mind, not enclosed in any body, is the efficient cause of all things, out of the infinite matter consisting of similar parts, everything being made according to its species by the divine mind, who when all things were at first confusedly mingled together, came and reduced them to order. Archelaus declared the principle of all things to be twofold: mind, which was incorporeal, and air, which was corporeal. the rarefaction and condensation of the latter resulting in fire and water respectively. The stars were conceived by Archelaus to be burning iron plates. Heraclitus, who lived 536 to 470 BC, and is sometimes included in the Ionic school, in his doctrine of change and eternal flux asserted fire to be the first element and also the state into which the world would ultimately be reabsorbed. The soul of the world he regarded as an exhalation from its humid parts, and he declared the ebb and flow of the sea to be caused by the sun. Okay, there's more to this page, but I'm just gonna pause there for a second.
I got you.
Yeah.
Shout out to David Blaine who just entered the chat.
Oh, hey David. Yeah, of course. I'm glad. Thank you for the suggestion. This is a long, thick book. So we're doing the introduction today, and we will be, we'll be doing more public live streams. Not everyone will be public. We will be keeping it for members as well. But we're going to be doing some homework reading in the next part so that we're not just live reading and commentary the whole time, because this is 800 pages and that would take a long time. But thank you for being here and thank you for the suggestion. I'm excited to dive into this book. All right, so let me finish this page and then I'll pause again, and then if you want to take over reading. Do you have the book, Advanced Trance? Do you have
it
do. Pulled up?
I got it right here.
Okay, sweet. I thought so. Hey, Bella. And also, if you see my hand drifting off to the side, it's because there's a cat there. It's not just because I'm stretching or something. Okay. Ow. Excuse me. Yeah, sassy. Okay. So after Pythagoras of Samos, its founder, the Italic or Pythagorean school numbers among its most distinguished representatives, Empedocles, Epicharmus, Archytas, Alcmaeon, Hippasus, Philolaus, and Eudoxus, Pythagoras, 580 to 500 BC, conceived mathematics to be the most sacred and exact of all the sciences, and demanded of all who came to him for study a familiarity with arithmetic, music, astronomy, and geometry. He laid special emphasis upon the philosophic life as a prerequisite to wisdom. Pythagoras was one of the first teachers to establish a community wherein all the members were of mutual assistance to one another in the common attainment of the higher sciences. He also introduced the discipline of retrospection as essential to the development of the spiritual mind. The discipline of retrospection, is that looking to the past? Because it's not introspection. Or is that more outward?
I honestly was thinking about Donald Duck for a second, just because of the last line that you read, because there's a 15-minute thing where Donald Duck goes back in time with Ludwig von Drake and Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color, and they just talk about Pythagoras and all the stuff he does with geometry, and then they teach you how to play pool with geometry, all the stuff. And so when you mentioned that one line about music, astronomy, and geometry, I just remember think about the cartoon. It's that was a badass cartoon.
That's fair. Yeah.
What was the thing you didn't mention though?
Retrospection. I would imagine it's outer. Searching the sentence is, he also introduced the discipline of retrospection as essential to the development of the spiritual mind. David Blaine says, really quick, I like the teachings of the secret teachings of all ages because it gives me a deeper understanding of the hidden forces that shape reality. It helps me make sense of the strange patterns, synchronicities, and experiences I've had in life. It's like decoding a language the universe has been speaking to me all along. Have you read this entire book, David Blaine, or have you just kind of read bits and pieces, or but it does seem like there's a ton of beautiful information in here.
It's
So
basically an encyclopedia. That's what it is. Of like
yes,
just, but he did it at 27, which is like just wow.
right.
Uh, the secret teaching of all ages, but it aligns with esoteric and philosophical practices discussed by Hall and other mystical traditions. Retrospection, in this context, refers to a disciplined introspective practice of reviewing one's thoughts, actions, or experiences to gain insight, foster spiritual growth, or align with higher principles. It is often associated with self-examination and moral or spiritual reflection.
Okay, so it's like a form of, it's like retrospection on introspection, like observing the introspective thoughts. It sounds
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
Cool.
correct.
Okay, cool. Thank you for looking that up. All right, I'll continue on. So Pythagoreanism may be summarized as a system of metaphysical speculation concerning the relationships between numbers and the causal agencies of existence. This school also first expounded the theory of celestial harmonics, or the music of the spheres. I love that. Jean Reuchlin said of Pythagoras that he taught nothing to his disciples before the discipline of silence, silence being the first rudiment of contemplation. In his Sophist, Aristotle credits Empedocles with the discovery of rhetoric. Both Pythagoras and Empedocles accepted the theory of transmigration, the latter saying, quote, as a boy I was, then did a maid become a plant, bird, fish, and in the vast sea swum, end quote. Archytas is credited with invention of the screw and the crane. Pleasure he declared to be a pestilence because it was opposed to the temperance of the mind. He considered a man without deceit to be as rare as a fish without bones. He considered a man without deceit to be as rare as a fish without bones. Yeah, it's probably true.
Like a jellyfish.
Oh, there you go. I guess so. So maybe it's not quite that rare.
I mean, it's technically not a fish, but it's in the name jellyfish. So
Right.
it's a fish without bones.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's
true.
just they're just protoplasm that just like floats aimlessly, mindlessly in the water.
Yeah, they're pretty much aliens.
They are
Sea
aliens.
aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last paragraph of this sentence, or last paragraph of this page. The Eleatic sect was founded by Xenophanes, 570 to 480 BC, who was conspicuous for his attacks upon the cosmologic and theogonic fables of Homer and Hesiod. Xenophanes declared that God was, quote, one and incorporeal, in substance and figure round, and in no way resembling man, that he is all sight and all hearing, but breathes not, and he is all things, the mind and wisdom, not generate, but eternal, impassible, immutable, and rational. Xenophanes believed that all existing things were eternal, that the world was without beginning or end, and that everything which was generated was subject to corruption. Okay, let me just finish off this little paragraph because I can't stop in the middle of the paragraph. He lived to great age and is said to have buried his sons with his own hands. Parmenides studied under Xenophanes, but never entirely subscribed his doctrines. Parmenides declared that the senses to be uncertain and reason the only criterion of truth. He first asserted the earth to be round, and also divided its surface into zones of heat and cold. And I'll pause there.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I just saw what David Blaine just posted a while ago, saying he used to listen to the important chapters of the audiobook while at work. What is to you? What are the important chapters to you? I just saw that in this one. I was just looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, also too, what you were saying earlier about the discipline of retrospection. I
Mhm.
found something else too in relation to the secret teachings of all ages. Hall's book emphasizes self-knowledge and the pursuit of divine wisdom, which retrospection supports. For example, his discussions of Pythagorean teachings or the Kabbalistic tree of life imply introspective practices to understand one's place in the cosmos.
Okay.
And retrospection could be inferred in Hall's exploration of initiatory rites, where candidates reflect on their moral and spiritual readiness for enlightenment. There you go.
Okay. Cool. Thank you for looking that up again. Also, hi, Friar. Thank you for joining here. Friar is a good subscriber friend of mine who also did a religion to occult interview with me. So if nobody has, really, I did it with him because it was his story to tell. But you know, wow, words. If no one has seen that, or if anybody is curious, go check it out because it was a fantastic interview, and I was you're a wealth of knowledge, Friar. So thank you for joining in here. We are reading this long introduction today, so and then eventually we'll get to the juicy parts. I mean, it's all juicy, but okay. Well,
What up, Friar? What's up, man?
advanced trance. Do you wanna take over reading for however long you care to read for? I feel like this is in school, like when you had to read in elementary school and kids would take turns reading like a couple pages or more at a time and then get through the whole chapter. It's basically what we're doing here. So,
Yep.
um,
Sure thing.
cool. Go ahead.
Mm, 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 mm,
We're
mm.
at Melissa's.
Uh, yeah. Sorry, I was posting, but not posting a link to where you can download the book if you want to follow along,
Oh, cool. Thank
which
you.
is annasarchive.com.
Hmm.
And then this Zoom meeting. Here we go. Okay. Melissus, who is included in the Eleatic,
Eliadic, maybe?
yeah, sure,
However you
Eleatic
want to
school,
say.
held many opinions in common with Parmenides. He declared the universe to be immovable because occupying all space, there was no place to which it could be moved. He further rejected the theory of a vacuum in space. Zeno or Ela also maintained that a vacuum could not exist, rejecting the theory of motion. He asserted that there was no one God who was an eternal, ungenerated being. Like Xenophanes, he conceived deity to be spherical in shape. Leucippus held the universe to consist is I'm just saying these are ancient names. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's like we need to be well respected. I'm just Leucippus held the universe to consist one of two parts, one full and the other a vacuum. From the infinite, a host of minute fragmentary bodies descend into the vacuum, where, though continual agitation, they organize themselves into spheres of substance. Oh. The great Democritus, the great Democritus, to a certain degree, enlarged upon the atomic theory of Leucippus. Democritus declared the principles of all things to be twofold: atoms and vacuum. Both, he asserted, are infinite, atoms in number, vacuum in magnitude. Thus, all bodies must be composed of atoms or vacuum, like particles and waves, like it's hand in
Hmm.
hand. Which remind me to tell you I saw a really cool wallpaper on a job site that just reminded me of the double slit experiment. Just
Oh,
loved it.
I will do my best to remember that.
Mm.
Okay, cool.
I believe you.
Okay,
Thus,
thanks.
all bodies must be composed of atoms and vacuums. Atoms possess two properties: form and size, both characterized by infinite variety. The soul, Democritus, also conceived to be atomic in structure and subject to dissolution with the body. The mind he believed to be composed of spiritual atoms. Intimates. Aristotle intimidates. No,
Intimates? Yeah.
sure. Aristotle intimates the Democritus obtained his atomic theory from the Pythagorean doctrine of the monad. Oh, yeah, the monad. Yes. Among the eclectics are also included Protagoras and Anaxagoras. Yo, when I thought the Book of Enoch was jerking me around with how it was trying to talk, here this book comes forward. It says, "No, here's a second helping."
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
good luck. You're doing great. You're doing great.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna speak Ren Fair very well by the time
Mhm.
at the end of this book. Socrates, the founder of Socratic sect, being fundamentally a skeptic, did not force his opinions upon others, but through the medium of questioning caused each man to give expression to his own philosophy. According to Plutarch, Socrates, sorry.
Socrates.
So it's just I totally went Bill and Ted right there. I totally went Bill and
It's
Ted.
okay.
Says Socrates conceived every place as appropriate for teaching in that the whole world was a school of virtue. He held that the soul existed before the body, and prior to immersion therein was endowed with all knowledge. That when the soul entered into the material form, it became stupefied, but that by discourse upon sensible objects, it was caused to reawaken and to recover its original knowledge. On these premises was based his attempt to stimulate the soul power through irony and inductive reasoning. It has been said to Socrates that the sole subject of his philosophy was man. He himself declared philosophy to be the way of true happiness and its purpose twofold. One, to contemplate God, and two, to abstract the soul from corporal sense. There we go. The principles of all things he conceived to be three in number. Oh, let me read it again.
Mhm.
Because it reminds me of the lecture when I'm getting the lecture that Manly P. Hall spoke, which was part 5 of my God, when he was talking about numbers having meanings, and it's part 5, he basically just breaks it all down. The principles of all things he conceived to be 3 in number: God, matter, and ideas. Of God, he said, what he is, I know not. What he is not, I know. Matter he defined as the subject of generation and corruption. Idea as an incorruptible substance, the intellect of God. Wisdom he considered the sum of the virtues. Along the prominent members of the Socratic sect were Xenophon, Aeschines, Crito, Simon, Glauco, Simmias, Cebes, Professor Oak, Zeller, the great authority, the ancient philosophies, has recently declared the writings of Xenophon relating to Socrates to be forgeries. When the italicized, the clouds of Aristophanes, a comedy written to ridicule the theories of Socrates, was first presented. The great skeptic himself attended the play, and during the performance, which caricatured him seated in a basket high in the air, studying the sun, Socrates rose calmly in his seat, the better to enable the Athenian so let me say that again. The better to enable the Athenian spectators to compare his own unproposing features with the grotesque mask worn by the actor impersonating him. Whoa. Now I got to go look that up too. Like freaking screen. No, not turn off phone. Let's see. By the way, this is my phone. It's got a parrot.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, yeah, the clouds of that play. I'm gonna go look at that play. That sounds cool. Okay, so they made fun of him. He's like, I ain't that ugly. So he stood up and like, y'all, Mm-mm.
Yeah.
The Elaine sect was founded by Phaedo. I don't even know how do you even pronounce those things where the A and the E cross over like a Tool song? Like
I don't know. I don't know.
I
I
think it's
would
like
pronounce it like you did.
eh,
Maybe. Yeah.
eh. I think it's Phaedo because I think the album is called Enema.
Mm.
The Elaine sect was founded by Phaedo Ellis, a youth of noble family, who was brought from slavery at the instigation of
Instigation.
Socrates. Thank you. The
Yeah.
instigation of Socrates, and who became his devoted disciple. Plato so highly admired Phaedo's mentality that he named one of his most famous of his discourses the Phaedo. Phaedo was succeeded in his school by oh my god, bro. Dude,
I think
Plis,
Plisthenes is
Plisthenes,
what I would
Politeness,
say.
who in turn, these are great character names, who in
Yeah.
turn was followed by Menimus.
Yeah. Sorry. Keep going.
I can't. That's freaking Minimus. It's an
Yeah.
anemone. Is
Anemone.
presumed to is presumed to have been inclined toward the teachings of Stilpo and the Magirian sect when Menemus opinions were demanded. He answered that he was free, thus intimidating the most men were enslaved to their opinions. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Menemus was apparently of somewhat belligerent temperament and often returned from his lectures in a badly bruised condition. Oh, snap.
Damn.
The most famous of his propositions is stated thus: that which is not the same is different from that which is. Ooh, hold on, going to get me. That which is not the same is different from that with which it is not the same. This point being admitted, Menimus continued. I do not understand that at all. That is way too deep for me.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. I'm almost done here.
Yeah.
Menimus continued. To benefit is not the same as good, therefore, good does not benefit. After the time of Menimus, the Elaine sect became known as the Eritrean. Its exponents denounce all negative propositions and all complex and abstruse theories, declaring that only affirmative and simple doctrines could be true. Pause. Ooh,
Pause. Good job. Yeah.
rain.
So, Fryer says Socrates or Socrates. I'm just putting a laughing emoji there. And what's his name? Oh my god, technology. David Blaine says, replying to your question, read the chapter Ceremonial Magic and Sorcery. It's one of the most interesting, or maybe he wasn't replying, but he says, read the chapter Ceremonial Magic and Sorcery. It's one of the most interesting parts of the book. We will be reading this whole book, not today, but we would
No, he
be
was
here
he was
for
replying because I asked him that question earlier.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That will be a great one. Maybe we will make that one public, and not members only. So just to kind of, while we're going here, I think because I want to try to cap this at 2 hours because I feel like people and you and I might lose interest if it goes, I mean, not lose interest, but kind of start to fade after 2 hours. So we're just going to read as far as into the introduction as we can. It's like a hair, sorry. If we don't get to the whole thing, that's okay. Then we'll just do the next one as like a members one and then kind of continue. And then from there, we'll begin like the reading. But just because, yeah, we'll just see how it goes. But I think these will kind of be like a 2 hour mark live videos. So a lot of words to stumble upon, but you're doing a good job. So all
Hey,
right. Hey.
I got no comment. Yo, I lost exactly what I was gonna say. Just yeah, no
It's
comment.
okay.
Good job, buddy. You got the
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. Um And also, Fryer said, "Oh, hello to you too, sir." Yeah, Advanced Trans has been helping me with, and really since the beginning of these book clubs. And this is the first time that he is on video, so he's kind of a co-host, co-reader, co-partner, collaborator with these book clubs, just to kind of add some buffoonery and add some insight and knowledge and little research and answered questions and personality and all the things. So, yeah, so that is why he is here too.
I'm really good at buffoonery. I love buffoonery.
Yes, good. Well, that's a good balance. So, okay, I will keep reading. From Are we at the Magarian? The Megarian? Or did you read that paragraph?
No, that's correct. It's the
That's where
Magarian
you.
sect.
Okay.
That's for you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let me drink some water before I read all these words on the page. So
You're also gonna have to like keep a bag of lozenges or cough
yeah,
drops beside you.
get some popcorn or something like, and get comfy, guys, because we're gonna be here for a while. Just kidding. It'll be hard to. I'll just eat the popcorn when you're reading, but
Hey, that's fine.
yeah,
Have at it. Eat snack away. I'm not gonna take that
yeah.
away from you.
Okay, well, not today. Maybe next time. All right, here we go. So the Megarian sect was founded by Euclid of Megara, not the celebrated mathematician, a great admirer of Socrates. The Athenians passed a law decreeing death to any citizen of Megara found in the city of Athens. For a second, I thought it was going to say Atlantis, and I got really excited, but Athens. We'll get to Atlantis though in another portion. But Athens is also exciting. Nothing daunted, Euclid donned women's clothing and went at night to study with Socrates. After the cruel death of their teacher, the disciples of Socrates, fearing a similar fate, fled to Megara, where they were entertained with great honor by Euclid. The Megarian school accepted the Socratic doctrine that virtue is wisdom, adding to it the Eleatic concept that goodness is absolute unity in all change and illusion of the senses. Euclid maintained that good has no opposite, and therefore evil does not exist. I don't know about that. But being asked about the nature of the gods, he declared himself ignorant to their disposition, save that they hated curious persons. Euclid sounds like he's got some issues. So the Megarians are occasionally included among the dialectic philosophers. Euclid, who died 374 BC, was succeeded in his school by Eubulides, among whose disciples were Alexinus and Apollonius Cronus. Ephantus, who lived to great age and wrote many tragedies, was among the foremost followers of Eubulides. Diodorus is usually included in the Megarian school, having heard Eubulides' lecture. According to legend, Diodorus died of grief because he could not answer instantly certain questions asked him by Stilpo, at one time master of the Megarian school. He died according to legend, but he died of grief because he couldn't answer a question. That's the pressure they put in school. Like people stressing about the SATs and the STAR tests and stuff. I know this is a little different, but it happened back in the BC times too. So he died of grief. So Diodorus held that nothing can be moved, since to be moved it must not be taken out of the place in which it is and put into the place where it is not, which is impossible because all things must always be in the places where they are. That is an interesting thought. It's a little bizarre. I mean, I'm not even going to try to counter argue that because he's saying that nothing can be moved because it's already always in a place. even though it's moving places, but it's never not in a place. Because it says, since to be moved, it must be taken out of the place in which it is and put into the place where it is not, which is impossible because all things must always be in the places where they are. This is also the guy that died of grief because he could not answer the certain question that Stilpo asked him. So,
Okay, I'm looking that up. That's
okay.
It sounds so familiar of like you're always where you want to be anyway, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna read the next paragraph unless you got that pulled up in like a second or
No, you keep on reading. That's going to take a moment.
okay. So the Cynics were a sect founded by Antisthenes of Athens, a disciple of Socrates. Their doctrine may be described as an extreme individualism which considers man as existing for himself alone and advocates surrounding him by inharmony, suffering, and direst need that be may thereby be and direst need that be may thereby be driven to retire more completely into his own nature. The Cynics renounced all worldly possessions, living in the rudest shelters and subsisting upon the coarsest and simplest food. I don't know why that was a hard word to say. Coarsest and simplest food. On the assumption that the gods wanted nothing, the Cynics affirmed that those whose needs were fewest consequently approached closest to the divinities. Being asked what he gained by a life of philosophy, Astintenes replied that he had learned how to converse with himself. Diogenes of Sinope is remembered chiefly for the tub in the Metrorum, of which, this book makes words hard with all the hard words.
It gets easier. This is just the introduction. They're just trying to like just drop all the people who are involved in this thing, where it came from, origins, and
right.
That's all it is. When it gets later on into the book, it's not going to be as complicated. It's going to be juicy.
It will definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's make it through this. Finish this paragraph here. So where was I? I remember chiefly for the tub in the Metroum, which for many years served him as a home. The people of Athens loved the beggar philosopher, and when a youth in jest bored holes in the tub, the city presented Diogenes with a new one and punished the youth. Diogenes believed that nothing in life can be rightly accomplished without exercitation. He maintained that everything in the world belongs to the wise, a declaration which he proved by the following logic. Quote, all things belong to the gods are friends to wise persons. All things are common amongst friends. Therefore, all things belong to the wise. End quote. Among the Cynics are Monomus, Onesicritus, Crates, Metrocles, Hipparchia, who married Crates, Menipus, and Menedemus. Okay, do you have what you were looking up?
Yeah. Actually, I got the summary of it.
Cool.
What I was looking up just to remind was basically I just typed in, what does this mean? Nothing can be moved. Since to be moved, it must be taken out of place in which it is and put into the place where it is not, which is impossible because all things must always be in the places where they are. And it was like, what? And I was like, you mean this? And so it said, cat head turned sideways 45 degrees. In essence, the statement is a provocative challenge to our understanding of motion, rooted in metaphysical reasoning, but it doesn't align with our empirical observations or modern scientific framework. It's a classic example of using logic to question reality, prompting deeper inquiry into what motion and existence truly mean. And so, and all the stuff before that was just basically explaining like the object must be in a specific place, contradiction of place, denial of motion, like the actual definitions and understandings of it, which gives it the whole complex of like what's that word looking for? Epochs. So what's the damn word? It goes. It's like epoch. Paradox. Thank you.
Mm.
That's the paradox of it. So he made up a really good paradox. He's like, I just broke myself. It's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Mhm.
Yeah, pretty much. Jeez.
Good job.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like, okay. Next question.
Those are the things you need to find on the back of cereal boxes. Besides,
Yeah,
like, yeah, count all the
right.
Lucky Charms. Yeah, no, you
Yeah.
need those things.
Man, that like makes me tired to even think about like the moving thing. Like, it's like, all right, cool. I'm not even gonna try to analyze or dive deeper on that. But thank you for looking that up and
Was
getting.
I was thinking about like, well, if atoms just constantly vibrate all the time, then technically that's true. It's like it's technically not in the same spot because on a microcosm state, it's always like micro shifting and hula dancing in one spot kind of thing. So
Right.
I
Which
can
goes back
understand that.
to it goes back to like the Hermetic law of vibration. I think that everything is always vibrating, right? Like because of the
Mhm.
energy. I remember fun side note. Well, I don't know if it's fun, but a side note. I remember being in my 5th grade science class and we were learning about something. I don't know, probably about solids and matter. And we got asked like, so is any the question was like, do solids are things in motion at all times or something like that, and everyone in the class said no and I said yes, and because my thinking at the time was like, well, everything has like atoms, right, and the atoms are moving, so even if like the solid isn't moving, like things are still moving. And I was wrong in my 5th grade science class. And then when I read the Kybalion years later, I was like, I was not wrong. It is moving according to this ancient Hermetic law that they don't teach you in Christian elementary school. Um, but
Oh
yeah,
God, it's
anyways.
so easy to fail Christian elementary school. It's so
Yeah.
easy to fail. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So
I
I
think
still think about that though. And I'm like, yeah, like, let's see who's right now. Just kidding. But
I still think about when I got threatened I was going to repeat 6th grade in my elementary school because I just kept getting D's and everything because I questioned everything. Yeah,
mm,
those dumbass questions too. It's like it was the worst workbook. I wish I had that workbook and just look at all the questions. It was stupid, brainwashing.
mm,
And I said, but they
mm-hmm.
done fucked up. Excuse my language, but they done fucked up. And just they said, you know what? If you're not going to do the homework, go be an altar boy. I was like, okay. And that failed on their part too, because my priest was cool as hell. And he was like, he taught me my first joke. I loved it because
Yeah.
he said like he spilled holy water on us. He said, "Ah, hell." I said, "You can't say that." He goes, "Well, how do you think we make the stuff?" I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "We boil the hell out of it." I'm like, "Ah," and just like, yeah, it was just cool. Then he gave me
That's
wine, and I went
funny.
to math class drunk. It was awesome.
Oh wow, that's pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like all the crackers I can eat.
Yeah, right. I know I used to go and sneak the communion wafers after class sometimes, or after school or church, whatever it was sometimes, and just have a little snack. Also, Fryer says it's funny people think the occult is devil worship, but it's mostly a ton of reading. It's so
Yeah,
true. God damn, that's so true.
yeah. The cult is just a library card. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I will do another. I don't even know how much I've read. I feel like I've read forever already, but it's okay. I'll finish this paragraph and then maybe do another page and then we can pass it over and we'll just keep reading till the end of the hour and then we'll end wherever we end and then we'll kind of go from there. So, because it's hard not to talk while we do it too, and like it adds some personality, some entertainment. So. I don't want to just sit here and read and be super boring, but I think for the next ones we'll like read in advance and then kind of go into it a little more, as I've said. Just wanting to repeat myself. So
Mhm.
okay, so the Cyrenaic, the Cyrenaic sect, founded by Astrotippus of Cyrene, promulgated the doctrine of hedonism. Learning of the fame of Socrates, Aristippus journeyed to Athens and applied himself to the teachings of the great skeptic. Socrates, pained by the voluptuous and mercenary tendencies of Aristippus, vainly labored to reform the young man. Aristippus had the distinction of being consistent in principle and practice, for he lived in perfect harmony with his philosophy that the quest of pleasure was the chief purpose of life. The doctrines of the Cyrenaics may be summarized thus. All that is actually known concerning any object or condition is the feeling which it awakens in man's own nature. In the sphere of ethics, that which awakens the most pleasant feeling is consequently to be esteemed as the greatest good. Emotional reactions are classified as pleasant or gentle, harsh, and mean. The end of pleasant emotion is pleasure. The end of harsh emotion, grief. The end of mean emotion, nothing. Okay, I'll keep going a little bit more. So, through mental perversity, some men do not desire pleasure. Hey, Bella, come here. She's like, sorry, my cat's like walking back and forth. Like, when are you gonna play with me? I'm sorry. Okay, come here. All right, there we go. Now we can continue. Through mental perversity, some men do not desire pleasure. Is that what that said? Yes. In reality, however, pleasure, especially of a physical nature, oh my goodness, so much going on, especially of a physical nature, is the true end of existence and exceeds in every way mental and spiritual enjoyments. Pleasure, furthermore, is limited wholly to the moment. Now is the only time. The past cannot be regarded without regret, and the future cannot be faced without misgiving. Therefore, neither is conducive to pleasure. That makes me think of The Power of Now, because he has a quote by Eckhart Tolle, and it's that he says, time and pain are inseparable. So basically saying everything that this person just said too. Like, if you're thinking about the past, it's usually in remorse or longing or something, or evoking some maybe lower vibrational emotions. And same thing with the future. Most of the time, if we were thinking about the future, it's out of anxiety, unless we're looking forward to something. But like, then that's evoking like a positive emotion, a pleasurable emotion in the present. So anyways, not to get too off track, but I mean, it relates to this. So no man should grieve, for grief is the most serious of all diseases. Nature permits man to do anything he desires. He is limited only by his own laws and customs. A philosopher is one free from envy, love, and superstition, and whose days are one long round of pleasure. Indulgence was thus elevated by Aristippus to the chief position among the virtues. He further declared philosophers to differ markedly from other men, in that they alone would not change the order of their lives if all the laws of men were abolished. Among prominent philosophers influenced by the Cyrenaic doctrines were Hegesias, Anicetus, Theodorus, and Bion. All right, I'm going to finish this page. So the sect of the academic philosophers instituted by Plato 427 to 347 BC was divided into three major parts: the Old, the Middle, and the New Academy. Among the old academics were Speusippus, Xenocrates, Pullman, Crates, and Crantor. Arcesilaus instituted the Middle Academy, and Carneades founded the New. Chief among the masters of Plato was Socrates. Plato traveled widely and was initiated by the Egyptians into the profundities of Hermetic philosophy. That's a fun word, profundities.
Profundities.
He also derived much from the doctrines of the Pythagoreans. Cicero describes the threefold constitution of Platonic philosophy as comprising ethics, physics, and dialectics. Plato defined good as threefold in character: good in the soul, expressed through the virtues; good in the body, expressed through the symmetry and endurance of the parts; and good in the external world, expressed through social position and companionship. I like that. I'm going to just mark a little mark there to come back to that. There's companionship. In the book of Speusippus on Platonic definitions, That great Platonist thus defines God, quote, a being that lives immortally by means of himself alone, sufficing for his own blessedness, the eternal essence, cause of his own goodness, end quote. According to Plato, the one is the term most suitable for defining the absolute, since the whole precedes the parts and diversity is dependent on unity, but unity not on diversity. The one, moreover, is before being, for to be is an attribute or condition of the one. Whew. Question?
No, I understand that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's the whole thing with Manly P. Hall. He discusses that as lecture, like the monad, what's the monad? God, what's the second part? It splits into two, because there's unity, all is one, and then then it has thought and becomes one, and then it splits into then it has a decision, or it splits into two. I can't remember what it's called. It's the monad and it's something else. The nomad. That's what it is. The monad, M-O, and the nomad, M-N-O. And then that's one turning into two. So everything all together, then it had a thought, then it became one, and then one became two when it starts to bring questions, and where it became light and darkness, yin and yang. And then from there became three. So that's always my kind of thing. It's like when Tesla talks about them 3, 6, and 9, I don't think he considers 1 and 2, 0, 1, and 2 real numbers. The only thing that really exists are 3 through 9, in my opinion. That's a long subject. That's not to be brought up now, but that's just my thing.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, cool. Yeah, we can get into the 3, 6, and 9 another time, but yeah, that is interesting. All right, I'll read one more paragraph and then I'll hand it over, pass the baton over to you. And we'll keep reading, chunking away. Hello, Bella, what are you doing? Do you want to come down? She just tapped my shoulder. Do you want to read?
Bella,
I wish she could read. Platonic philosophy is based upon the postulation of 3 orders of being. That which moves unmoved, here we go again, that which is self-moved, and that which is moved. That which is immovable but moves is anterior to that which is self-moved, which likewise is anterior to that which it moves. That in which motion is inherent cannot be separated from its motive power. It is therefore incapable of dissolution. Of such nature are the immortals. That which has motion imparted to it from another can be separated from the source of its animating principle. It is therefore subject to dissolution. Of such nature are mortal beings. Superior to both the mortals and the immortals is that condition which continually moves yet itself is unmoved. To this constitution the power of abidance is inherent. It is therefore the divine permanence upon which all things are established, being nobler even than self-motion. The unmoved mover is the first of all dignities. The Platonic discipline was founded upon the theory that learning is really reminiscence, or the bringing into objectivity of knowledge formerly acquired by the soul in a previous state of existence. Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Let me finish the sentence that I was going to say. At the entrance of the Platonic school in the academy were written the words, "Let none ignorant of geometry enter here." Okay, holy shit. So that makes me think of Robert Monroe's book, which I mentioned this before, because he has in his book, I think it's the 3rd book, Ultimate Journeys, where he talks about, he sees all his past lives or other lifetimes illuminated. Hello, baby kitty. Illuminated, or he sees them all in a line. He's somewhere in the astral realm, and he sees all these people in a line, and the souls, some are illuminated and some are not. And the ones that are illuminated are the ones that are helping him in this lifetime, and the ones that are not illuminated are the ones that are not as active as a role. But he has this conclusion that he came to, where he says there's a bunch more to it, but just to paraphrase, he says there is no teacher and there is no student, there is only remembering. And I love that because it affirms it's a way to get rid of limiting beliefs that block us from learning something new. Like I told that to a piano student of mine one time, and she was like, "You just blew my mind." And I was like, "You're welcome. I know."
Ah,
And
appropriate response. Yeah.
Because she was like a 40-something-year-old lawyer, but wanted to learn piano, and like and I think about that a lot, when I try to learn new things. Like I'm learning Spanish, and if you look at it as like I'm learning something new, like I don't already have this information within me, like I don't already know this. It's a different approach than if I'm looking at it like I'm remembering how to speak this language, or I'm remembering how to build this thing, or I'm remembering such and such. And that way there's a resonance with it, that allows us to believe that we already know this, and we're just unlocking that memory essentially, or that part of like our soul. So I just got super excited, obviously, when I read that in here, because I was like, yes, further confirmation of this being true. But this is also the Platonic discipline about it. That learning is really reminiscence, or the bringing into objectivity of knowledge formerly acquired by the soul in a previous state of existence. I'm like, duh, but yeah, so that's cool. That's cool. I like that. That's all I had to say on and go off on that. So if anyone's out there learning something new, think about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say, read the chat real quick. Friar talking shit.
Friar's uh-oh. Friar does that sometimes. Let's see. I failed a question elementary school. Factor fin is cold in the Arctic, and I chose opinion because to me, animal is something is called the action. That's so true. If you like Plato, you might also like Plotinus and Iamblichus because you know books. And Carl Jung's. This is like passing the reading tasks around like in a 12-step meeting. Yeah.
As I was just like taking the screenshot of like the books Friar was recommending. I said, I'm gonna look this up later. Then I hopped up. I'm like,
That's true. That's true. Well, hey, we're having a good time in this 12-step meeting. So, as they, yeah.
I'm Fred Astaire really hard right now.
You what?
Fred Astaire.
Oh, Fred Astaire. Yeah, I thought.
There's a play on words like stairs, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers,
right.
Tiptoe. Yep.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Okay.
It is like, yeah, this is probably the most boring part of this entire book, or not probably, I'm sure it is. So sorry to, I hope you guys aren't bored, but I feel like the commentary is necessary to keep it so just like from being,
all the juicy stuff is for the members only. That's right. So you guys sign up and join the members only if you want the juicy deeds.
This is true. This is true. Occasionally we'll drop some nuggets, but yeah, the members will be, it is a members book club. So, so if you want to be part of the book club, please become a member and join in on some commentary and some reading along and some juicy goodness in this book.
My opinions are your nuggets, so dip them up. Dip.
There we go. But I do appreciate everybody being here and active in the chat at this point in time. So, okay, whenever you're ready, Advanced Chance, do you want to take over? Just read like, oh no, Bella, no. Okay, it's okay.
Oh no, Bella, where's that at? Is that in the book? Oh no, Bella, no. Like,
probably somewhere.
The next sentence. Yeah,
might be. We got
800
pages to explain. Actually, it's not 800. It's like 600, but it seems like a lot more.
600. Well, the downloaded version I have says there is 1,110 pages.
Maybe it's the print or something, because this is 607, but then the bibliography is like an extra 100 pages. So,
Well, your pages are
um,
bigger than mine.
yeah, that could be. It
Mhm.
has to be, yeah.
Was actually the start of the new sentence because I was like doing some stuff over here, downloading to like copy and like trying to interpret some things, and then Fryer threw me off guard, and I was aware.
Yeah, no, we were at after the death of Plato. His
That's the
disciples
start.
separated. Yeah, that's where we're
Okay,
starting.
okay, okay. I gotcha.
Mhm.
After the death of Plato, his disciples separated into two groups. One, the academics, continued to meet in the academy where once he had presided. The other, the per, per, pre, oh my God, pre-apatetics, that's why no one remembers you, because everyone remembers academics. That's right. It's always an academics club. There's no pre-apatetics club. Removed to the Lyceum under the leadership of Aristotle. Plato recognized Aristotle as his greatest disciple, and according to oh, I know this one too, Philoponus. Oh, not Fallopian tube. Hold on, Philoponus, the
Probably like Philoponus.
Philoponus, Platypus, Philobante, friggin'
Yeah.
Philoponus. Okay, referred to him as the mind of the school. If Aristotle were absent from the lectures, Plato would say, "The intellect is not here. All of the prod prodigious,
Prodigus.
yeah, even I love the band, The Prodigy. Of the prodigious genius of Aristotle, Thomas Taylor from Home Improvement writes in his introduction to the Metaphysics. When we consider that he was not only well acquainted with every science, as his works abundantly evince, but that he wrote on almost every subject which is comprehended in the circle of human knowledge, and this with matchless accuracy and skill, we know not which to admire most, the penetration or extent of his mind. Of the philosophy of Aristotle, the same author says, the end of Aristotle's moral philosophy is perfection through the virtues, and the end of his contemplative philosophy and union with the one principle of all things. Aristotle conceived philosophy to be twofold, practical and theoretical. Practical philosophy embraced ethics and politics. Theoretical philosophy, physics, and logic. Don't want to jump to a page. Thank you for asking. Metaphysics, he considered to be the science concerning that substance which has the principle of motion and rest inherent to itself. To Aristotle, the soul is that by which man first lives, feels, and understands. Love those three. Hence, to the soul, he assigned three faculties. Well, I'm saying that word wild. Faculty. Nutritive,
Nutritive, I think.
nutrigrade, nutritive,
Mm-hmm.
sensitive, and intellective. He further considered the soul to be twofold, rational and irrational, and in some particulars elevated the sense perceptions above the mind. Aristotle defined the wisdom as the science of first causes. The four major divisions of his philosophy and dialects, physics, ethics, and metaphysics. God is defined as the first mover, the best of beings, an immovable substance, separate from sensible things, void of corporal quantity, without parts and indivisible. Platonism is based upon a pierogi reasoning. Not pierogi. God, stop.
Priori, I think.
Thank you. I saw the word pierogi.
Yeah.
Priori. Upon a priori reasoning, Aristotelism, upon a posteriori reasoning. Aristotle taught his pupil, Alexander the Great, to feel that if he not Ooh. Alexander the Great to feel that if he had not done a good deed, he had not reigned that day. Among his followers were Theophrastus, Strato, Lyco, Aristo, uh, Critias, and Diotrus. Okay. Of skepticism, as pronounced by Piero of Elis and by Timon, Sextus, and Picarus, said, I know why. I know why you did. Yep. Yes. Oh, yeah, dude, by the way, not to get sidetracked, but did you know, like, Hakuna Matata? Did you see the thing? Hakuna Matata does not mean no worries.
No.
It means fatherless.
Oh, that's so sad. What?
I know, how hilarious.
Why would they do that? I mean, I guess
Yeah.
like no worries if you're fatherless. Is that a was okay, was that after Simba's father died or before? Was that a
Yeah, that was
foreshadowing?
definitely after Simba's
Mufasa
father died.
died?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah, yeah.
wow.
Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. This is a Hakuna. This is the
Wild. I did not know that.
Hakuna Matata.
I mean, they're not going to sing Hakuna Matata means fatherless, in a children's song. Like, they don't need to traumatize these children anymore.
Ha-
So,
Hakuna Matata. Fatherless. What does that mean? Uh, it's Swahili. Yeah. Hakuna Matata is a Swahili phrase meaning no worries or there is no problems. It's phrase, curse, outlook, good speech, but Hakuna Matata. Yeah. The meaning of Hakuna Matata in relation to fatherless children will depend on the specific context and how it's being used, or lack of father. But it's supposed to mean, but it's the language. It's the like they said it was made from Swahili, but really in another language where it was based out of means fatherless. Okay, sorry, I
hmm.
got sidetracked with that. I learned that like a week ago, and it like triggered my brain.
That's okay. There was a Timon in here, so
Is there a
that's.
Timon in here? There
Well,
is a
you read
Timon in
the red
here.
Timon, yeah. So it's not totally. I mean, maybe it's Timon, but I mean, it's spelled like Timon. So
Well,
I
then
don't know.
who's the other one? Timon.
Pumbaa.
Pumbaa. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I put Pumbaa's face over Timon's words. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Uh, Timon, Sextus, Empiricus said that those who seek must find or deny they have found or can find or preserve in the inquiry. Those who suppose they have found truth are called dogmatists. Those who think it incomprehensible are the academics. Those who still seek are the skeptics. The attitude of skepticism towards the knowable, I'm sorry, the attitude of skepticism towards the knowable is summed up by the Sextus Epicurus in the following words. But the chief ground of skepticism is that to every reason there is an opposite reason equivalent, which makes us forbear to dogmatize. The skeptics were strongly opposed to dogmatists and were agnostic in that they held the accepted theories regarding deity to be self-contradictory and undemonstrable. How? Asked the skeptic. Can we have inaudible knowledge of God, knowing not his substance, form, or place? For, while philosophers disagree inconcilably, okay, on these points, their conclusions cannot be considered as undoubtedly true, since absolute knowledge was considered unattainable. The skeptics declared the end of their discipline to be, quote, the opiniotives, okay, to be, in quote, in opiniotives, in disturbance, in impulsives, moderation, and in disquietives, suspension. There's a librarian out there cringing. I swear. There's a. It's like,
For sure. It's okay. You're doing a good
Well,
job.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do one more. This
Okay.
little short one.
Okay.
Okay. The sect of the Stoics was founded by Zeno, the Scythian who studied under Crates the Cynic, from which sect the Stoics had their origin. Zeno was succeeded by Cleanthes, Chrysippus, Zeno, Antinous, Diogenes, Antipater, Panaetes, Posidonius. I swear to God, I said Poseidon donuts. Like Poseidon's donuts, hot and fresh.
Just blended together.
I mean, like, oh no, man. I kind of want that now. Like Poseidon's donuts. What kind of donuts would he have? It'd probably be like those vegan ones where like it's all kale donuts.
Ew.
Some pretty, yeah, right. But they're
Yeah.
vegan. But like to be like SpongeBob like donuts, you know?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like Poseidon's donuts.
Okay. It does look like Poseidon's donuts, like when you come back to it.
Yeah, but I want it now, though. I want some like sea foam green frosting with some like little sprinkles of fishies on top.
That does sound yummy.
Oh my God. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
So this is how brain works. Follow brain, trust it. It's good.
Yes.
Most famous of the Roman Stoics are Epictetus, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. Oh, yeah,
Marcus Aurelius.
Fuck. Okay. Marcus Aurelius. The Stoics were essentially pantheists, since they maintained that there is nothing better than the world is God. Zeno declared that the reason of the world is diffused throughout it as seed. Stoicism is a materialistic philosophy enjoying voluntary resignation to natural law. Thank God I'm not smart, man. This is like just, oof. Oh man, big words.
A lot of big words. Do you want to finish up that paragraph or?
Oh, well, that was a continue. Oh, okay. So that's still part of the paragraph because I got a little cut in my look.
Oh,
I got
okay.
a cut. I have a cut.
Oh,
really?
really?
That's why I stopped. That's why
Okay.
yours is bigger than mine. So
It's
that's
okay. I mean, I can take over
I
if
know.
you're.
Well, I know it's okay. Is the pages are bigger than mine. All right,
Yeah.
because Chrysippus, crispiness, Chrysippus
Chrysippus.
maintain Chrysippus maintain Chris on the platypus. Chrysippus maintain that good and evil being contrary, both are necessary since each sustains the other. The soul was regarded as a body distributed throughout the physical form and subject to dissolution with it. Though some of the Stoics held that wisdom prolonged the existence of the soul, actual immortality is not included in their tenets. The soul was said to be composed of 8 parts: the 5 senses, the generative power, the vocal power, and the 8th or hegemonic part. Nature was defined as God mixed throughout the substance of the world. All things were looked upon as bodies, either corporeal or incorporeal.
That's the end of the paragraph.
Well, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, go for it.
Even while reading it, I could just hear your. I could just hear your just. You gonna finish that in the background? Just as meekness marked the attitude of the Stoic philosopher, while Diogenes was delivering and discourse against anger. One of his listeners spat contemptuously in his face. Receiving the insult with humility, the great Stoic was moved to retort, I am not angry, but in doubt whether I ought to be so or not. Yeah. So that is That is so.
That is so.
That is so. Pause.
Cool. Pause. Thank you. Let me catch up in the chat really quick. So after the 12-step meeting comment that Fryer said, David Blaine came back to say the biggest thing I learned from this book is that the idea of being small and insignificant in the universe is the biggest lie ever sold to people. He said it made me realize how powerful and divine we truly are. And that is a powerful realization to have. And that's beautiful. And then Fryer said prodigious, which was, I think he was correcting one of the pronunciations of however we pronounced
pierogies. It was
Yeah.
like
Well, then he also said, "Man, now I want pierogies."
that's the word he's correct. It's not pierogies. It's prodigious. And thank you, Fryer.
Is it really?
That's what Fryer says. I'm not looking back. Those are more words I gotta read. Yeah, it's just There's pierogies. I used to make pierogies too.
Yeah.
That was my volunteer hours for my elementary school. You can do this, or you can go in the kitchen with the old ladies and make pierogies. I'm like, I'm making fucking pierogies because they got stories. So yeah.
I'm not gonna go back and look either. No, that's a good reason. Okay, so just for time's sake, I think I'll read like another page and then probably end there.
Yeah. We got like 15 minutes left for the 2 hours. Yeah.
I know. It goes by fast and slow. The reading goes by slower and the time goes by fast. But that's okay because, And then David just said, "What's your take on this? After reading the book, I'm pretty convinced we live in an enclosed realm, just like the Bible says. A dome above us and an Antarctic ice wall sealing everything in. We are in a sealed realm where souls are tested." I mean, I don't believe in the flat earth, but I don't know about the Antarctic ice wall sealing everything in. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
I understand what he's talking about per se. I have a whole different thing, but I got gematria. So I got gematria tied in with this one, and then I got what do you call it? Okay, so anagrams, how you rearrange words and get it. So I probably talked to you about this. Like there's words within words kind of thing. Like and there's actually an app too. There's Angie's Anagram Generator or Generator. I'll send you the link to it so you can see what I'm talking about. But if you type out a word, it'll actually locate and find all the words that can exist within the word of there too. So there's that kind of anagram is what I'm talking about. So there's a Gematria Foundation, and then there's like a what's that thing? Phonetic. There's a phonetic way of saying it, and then there's the anagram ways of stuff like the knowledge that revolves around the ice wall. I don't know his view, but yeah, that's we'll talk about it offline. We'll talk about it offline. But like, yeah, it's actually really fucking cool. I love it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it ties in chlorophyll. It ties in. Oh yeah, remember chlorophyll?
Oh yeah, chlorophyll. Yeah. I've been eating my chlorophyll lately, so
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then he just said the magic circle seals everything in, and all the magic happens inside, just like on the sealed earth. Sounds like we got to keep reading this book and get into more of what you're talking about. Okay, so I'm gonna do like another page or so, and then we'll end there. So at least for now, until the next time.
Okay. You hold down and we're back. I need some water.
Okay. Wait, what? Okay, I got it now. Okay, I hold it down. You go get some water.
Yeah, yes. I need some water. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Go get some water. I will hold it down. All right. So Epicurus of Samos was the founder of the Epicurean sect, which in many respects resembles the Cyrenaic, but is higher in its ethical standards. The Epicureans also posited pleasure as the most desirable state, but conceived it to be a grave and dignified state achieved through renunciation of those mental and emotional inconstancies which are productive of pain and sorrow. Epicurus held that as the pains of the mind and soul are more grievous than those of the body, so the joys of the mind and soul exceed those of the body. The Cyrenaics asserted pleasure to be dependent upon action or motion. The Epicureans claimed rest or lack of action to be equally productive of pleasure. Epicurus accepted the philosophy of Democritus concerning the nature of atoms and based his physics upon this theory. The Epicurean philosophy may be summed up in 4 canons. 1. Sense is never deceived, and therefore every sensation and every perception of an appearance is true. 2. Opinion follows upon sense and is superadded to sensation and capable of truth or falsehood. 3. All opinion attested or not contradicted by the evidence of sense is true. And 4. An opinion contradicted or not attested by the evidence of sense is false. Among the Epicureans of note were Metrodorus of Lampsacus, Zeno of Sidon, and Phaedrus. Eclecticism may be defined as the practice of choosing apparently irreconcilable doctrines from antagonistic schools and constructing therefrom a composite philosophic system in harmony with the convictions of the eclectic himself. Eclecticism can scarcely be considered philosophically or logically sound, for as individual schools arrive at their conclusions by different methods of reasoning, so the philosophic product of fragments from these schools must necessarily be built upon the foundation of conflicting premises. Eclecticism, accordingly, has been designated the layman's cult. In the Roman Empire, little thought was devoted to philosophic theory. Consequently, most of its thinkers were of the eclectic type. Cicero is the outstanding example of early eclecticism, for his writings are a veritable potpourri of invaluable fragments from earlier schools of thought. Eclecticism appears to have had its inception at the moment when men first doubted the possibility of discovering ultimate truth. Observing all so-called knowledge to be mere opinion at best, the less studious furthermore concluded that the wiser course to pursue was to accept that which appeared to be the most reasonable of the teachings of any school or individual. From this practice, however, arose a pseudo-broad-mindedness devoid of the element of preciseness found in true logic and philosophy. The Neo-Pythagorean school flourished in Alexandria during the 1st century of the Christian era. Only 2 names stand out in connection with it, Apollonius of Tyana and Moderatus of Gades. Neo-Pythagoreanism is a link between the older pagan philosophies and Neoplatonism. Like the former, it contained many exact elements of thought derived from Pythagoras and Plato. Like the latter, it emphasized metaphysical speculation and ascetic habits. A striking similarity has been observed by several authors between Neo-Pythagoreanism and the doctrines of the Essenes. Special emphasis was laid upon the mystery of numbers, and it is possible that the Neo-Pythagoreans had a far wider knowledge of the true teachings of Pythagoras than is available today. Even in the 1st century, Pythagoras was regarded more as a god than a man, and the revival of his philosophy was resorted to apparently in the hope of that his name would stimulate interest in the deeper systems of learning. But Greek philosophy had passed the zenith of its splendor. The mass of humanity was awakening to the importance of physical life and physical phenomenon. The emphasis upon earthly affairs, which began to assert itself later, reached maturity of expression in 20th century materialism and commercialism, even though Neoplatonism was to intervene and many centuries passed before this emphasis took definite form. And pause. I'm going to pause there. There's a picture here. Right there, and it is the Ptolemaic scheme of the universe from an old print courtesy of Carl Oscar Borg. I'm just going to read what it says under there. So in ridiculing the geocentric system of astronomy expounded by Claudius Ptolemy, modern astronomers have overlooked the philosophic key to the Ptolemaic system. The universe of Ptolemy is a diagrammatic representation of the relationships existing between the various divine and elemental parts of every creature, and is not concerned with astronomy as that science is now comprehended. In the above figure, special attention is called to the 3 circles of zodiacs surrounding the orbits of the planets. These zodiacs represent the threefold spiritual constitution of the universe. The orbits of the planets are the governors of the world, and the 4 elemental spheres in the center represent the physical constitution of both man and the universe. Ptolemy's scheme of the universe is simply a cross-section of the universal aura, the planets and elements to which he refers having no relation to those recognized by modern astronomers. Okay. Excuse me. So that is that. Oh, you have your cat now.
Mhm.
And what's your cat's name again? Luna?
Luna.
Luna. Nice. Oh.
This is.
Yeah, look at her. Oh. We love cats here. Let's see. Ooh, okay. So Fryer knows about this book. He says that's rich about eclecticism coming from a syncretist. Manly has no chill. Then he says, yeah, that little diagram of the universe looks quite a lot like Tsum diagrams from Kabbalah, hint, hint. It does. It does. We will get into the book. So, yeah, there's a lot of cool shit in here. I just flip around and I get distracted. But we're going to pause there for today. And then David Blaine said, even high-level 33-degree Freemasons are taught about the enclosed Earth surrounded by the Antarctic ice wall.
See, I'm telling you, this is like a giant encyclopedia. Like, this is...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just tons of information to rabbit hole down into. So
Totally.
it's... Yeah.
And
like, amongst the other books
there.
you'll be taking a break to read, like, and then jumping back into this one, like, it's... I guarantee you, we'll probably read some of this book, right? And then it'll probably relate to another book, or it'll probably a book that will be just as similar to the subject at hand that we're reading to read to take a break from this one.
Yeah.
That's
That's a good idea. I mean, I'm kind of feeling out how the rest of it's going to go. I think the best thing to do, though, would be, as I've said probably 3 times now, is to like read it beforehand. Excuse me, so that we can just talk more about like what it's talking about, because it'll just go on and on if we read and talk like we did today. And I cannot, Fryer, get out of my head this 12-step meeting comment that you made that we're passing around the reading. Like, okay, cool, yeah, you're not wrong. I just turned to a page with there's a picture of the archdruid in his ceremonial robes. Damn, this is cool. That was only on page like 2 or 3. So yeah.
Oh, I see. You're talking about the I guess that's not it. You're talking about this thing right here?
No, but I'm looking at that now. It's on it's not in the introduction. It's in chapter 1. I don't know, or page, where did it go? Page 4 of like the first chapter, the ancient, or Roman numeral 2, the ancient mysteries and secret societies.
From the Nuremberg Chronicles. No, that's not it.
Oh my god, I'm so excited to read this book.
Yo. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what you're looking at, but now I just keep scrolling past looking at all the pictures.
Yeah.
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 Is that Hermes Trismegistus? Is that what this is? Is that who he is? This is a picture above the word Hermes Mercurius Trismegistus. This thing.
Oh, no, that's not what I was looking at, but that is a picture of him.
No, it's definitely not what you're looking at.
Introduction, right?
This is like
the
life and writings of Thoth Hermes Trismegistus. Like,
oh yeah, Trismegistus. I forgot.
Yeah. Oh, is that Thoth? Yes, Thoth. Yo, Thoth is in the book, dog.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
You know, I have a friend who astral projected and met Thoth, and yeah, and like had like astral sex with him um multiple times. And when she told me that, I wasn't surprised, but I was just like, wow, I can't believe you're telling me this. Like, because this is on my level of weird shit that I like to talk about. And I did not expect this from you right now.
I
And
mean, like women do like friggin' vampires and werewolves and insert third gallery thing, so it's not,
mhm.
yeah, makes sense. And it's like, why not Thoth? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
makes
but
sense.
he is, yeah, he is the, God. So, and then Trismegistus, the thrice great. Thank you, Friar. And then, if Earth, David Blaine says, if Earth were just a random floating ball in space, magic wouldn't even make sense. The whole system depends on the sealed, purposeful design. You guys are both dropping hints at things in the book that I want to get to right now. And we will get to. So, once we get past this introduction, so this was just, telling stuff and things about the rest of what is to come. And we didn't even get all the way through the introduction, but we will. And we'll be, so as I've said, the book club is members only thing. Every now and then we will be, God, there's some cool pictures in here. Every now and then we'll be public, to drop some cool nuggets and stuff, but would love if you guys joined the book club, became members, contributed in the chat and read along and participated in that way. Like that would be super fun to get participation and learn from other people and read the same thing. And you can find the book online as well if you don't have it already.
I always do recommend go purchase a physical copy of the book before, you know, it gets banned. More groups of people become wiser and more. Ow! Why?
Cat.
More people. Yeah, I know. Cat. Love me bites. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, more people every day become more aware of this kind of stuff. You know, we're now in the age of Aquarius. You know, because Pisces was like beforehand, and pretty much we're, in my opinion, plus through other stuff too. You know, religion is kind of dying, and people are going into the mysticism, the occultism, and they're trusting roots back into this kind of stuff. So, yeah. So, and who knows if they're going to try and like stop this copy of book? You know, why I'm part of the
Yeah,
Grand Floridian Library.
that's true. I'm surprised I'm sure it's got to be banned somewhere. Um, this is so cool. I'm sorry, I'm like flipping way ahead and I'm like looking at all these
No, that's all
pictures
good.
and
I'm just
stuff.
saying, it's like if you like the book, you should always buy a physical copy of it and keep it in your library because there's nothing better
Agree.
to. Plus, they can't take it away from you if you have a physical copy of the book.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having like two trips at McDonald's, invest that money into a nice, good book that lasts you a
Yeah,
lifetime.
yeah,
You know, if
exactly.
even and like I put in the chat, if you want to check out the book, you know, uh, pre-read it before you order it. You know, you can always go to annasarchive.com. You know, and just check download a PDF or a Z Live or whatever it is there.
Mm-hmm.
So also do for you to follow along and read because I
Yes.
guarantee you, yeah, the way that we're pronunciating some of these damn names.
Oh my God. They even have the 72 names of God, like the whole Kabbalah, which Friar, I think this is what, if you're still here, I think this is what you were talking about as the other picture being similar to this one. It's like so tiny and detailed. There's no way you can see it all
Oh, that's
right
freaking
there.
cool.
But yeah. Oh my God. I'm like fangirling. We're flipping through this book. So yeah, so there's a lot of cool stuff in here that we will get to and chip away at it.
Mhm.
Man, they got sigils in here. Okay, Friar, have you read this book? Because it sounds like, you read a lot too, so it sounds like you have read it. All right. Oh, of course, this is in the ceremonial magic and sorcery chapter that David Blaine was talking about.
Yeah. It's like David Blaine, how many sigil discussions does it have in this book? Because that's
Probably
what
a
I'm like looking
lot.
into right now. I'm looking into magic squares. In my off time, I'm looking into magic squares and sigils right now.
Hmm.
By the way, how was your Scorpio moon session?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I didn't like do anything for it. Um, I did the oracle card reading, but it was fine. It was the whole week leading up to the full moon was more chaotic than the actual full moon, and so now it feels calmer. Um, but yeah,
I won. Like I was like, I think it was around midnight. And I was like, I just want to at least, get some meditation in. I
mhm,
wanted to. I even like I sent you the photo. I even like wrote down
mhm.
made up my own new sigil in the top left corner
Oh, nice,
for it. Yeah.
cool.
And I think I was only doing it for like 20 minutes. And by
Mhm,
that point, I was like, I gotta go to bed for like work and everything.
mhm,
But I got a lot of quick self-reflection on it too. And I see the improvements today on it.
mm.
I told so many people off. It was fantastic. But yeah, I did a lot of good detoxing, decluttering for it. And
Good, that's important.
oh yeah, yeah, it was good stuff. I was happy with it. I was like all even though it was raining like all day, like I was
Mm.
still in a happy mood.
Well, good.
Yeah.
It can be a happy mood and rainy outside. Um, so good. I hope everybody else had a good night of the full moon too. Yeah, David Blaine said I didn't read the whole book, just the important chapters that stood out to me. I understand why the ceremonial magic one stood out to you. Like I've been flipping through that, and then I flipped a little further and I saw gnomes, and I was like, gnomes, the elementals in their habitat. I love elementals. Oh my god. Okay. Well, anyways,
Uh,
can't.
Pryor said that's the Kircher diagram,
Oh yeah.
and a lot of it can be found in Agrippa too. That's like, isn't
Yes.
Agrippa part of the Golden Dawn or associated somehow with the Golden Dawn?
It
Agrippa?
might be. I'm not actually sure, but Fryer
Okay.
probably knows.
Yeah.
Um. Oh my God. There's so
Oh,
much in here. I wish I could consume it all right now.
pause. Let's pause button.
Yeah, we
We're gonna
are.
keep this.
Yeah, we are. We are. I know. I gotta go to bed soon.
Mhm.
But
I got a cat to fight, so
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I might gotta go give my cat some love too. But thank you so much, guys. First of all, thank you, Advanced Trance, of course, for being on video. We've come a long way since the first Book of Enoch one in the chat. So now here you are live with me and with everybody else. So, um, wait, Fryer, did you answer what video tomorrow premiere video you're doing? I'm curious because if it's premiering, I would like to tune in if possible. Um, and it was nice to chill with you too. So, David Blaine, thank you for being in here and listening along. So, always happy to hear from you. And then Jared, who was in the beginning, hi, and thank you for stopping in. Anybody else that tuned in along the way, thank you guys as well. Um, so yeah, this is a great time. So kind of just a slow start in the introduction, but it'll get back. We'll keep it rolling, and I'm excited to keep doing this. But yeah, Fryer, send me what video you're premiering tomorrow. It's not Abby's, is it? Is it Abby's video? Sumerian astrology. Oh no, the Three Gates of Mercury Part 2. Okay, not Abby, because tomorrow is Wednesday, so I was just wondering. Okay, cool. Well, yeah. All right. Thank you guys. Advanced Trance, thank you again. So I will go ahead and figure out how to stop this. I always say bye and then cut myself off. So that's just going to be how it is because there's like a 20-second lag or something. So
I love it like that. It's great.
yeah. Well, cool. All right. Well, then we will end this. Where's the end button? I'm going to pause
Where's the
here.
end button? Wow.
Where's the end button? All right. Well,
This is your end button.
there we go.
This is your end button.
This is the end button. All right.
This is the end button.
That's a great note to end on. All right. Peace, everybody. Good night.